The giant silver doors of the Galactic Council chamber opened with a soft hiss. Captain Hannah Park stepped inside, her dark blue uniform crisp and clean. Behind her walked Dr. Jinwoo Kim, carrying a metal briefcase that held their last hope. The chamber was enormous. 47 different alien species sat in curved rows, their eyes all focused on the humans. Some had tentacles, others had scales that glittered under the bright lights. A few looked almost human, except for their purple skin or extra arms. Hannah's heart beat fast, but her face stayed calm. She had been a soldier for 20 years. Today she had to be something more. Today she had to save her entire species. "The human delegates may approach," said a deep voice. It came from High Judicator Veltar, a tall alien with 4 arms and golden eyes. His species, the Zenthari, had ruled the council for 300 years. Hannah and Jinwoo walked across the polished floor. Their footsteps echoed in the silent room. Every species watched. Some looked curious, others seemed angry. A few appeared bored, as if this trial was just a waste of time. President Yoon-Soo Lee appeared as a blue hologram beside them. Back on Earth, billions of humans waited to hear their fate. The president's face was serious. Her gray hair was pulled back tight. "Humans of Earth," High Judicator Veltar began. "You stand accused of aggressive expansion, military buildup, and violation of peaceful coexistence laws. How do you answer?" Hannah stepped forward. "We answer that these charges are false, Your Honor. Humanity has always worked for peace." A snort came from the Vex section. The snake-like aliens had been humanity's biggest problem in the council. Their Ambassador Siskar raised his head. His forked tongue flicked out to taste the air. "Peaceful?" Siskar hissed. "Tell that to the 3 systems you've militarized. Tell that to the mining operations you've expanded without permission." Dr. Kim opened his briefcase. "If I may present evidence of human crimes?" interrupted another voice. This came from the Hegemonic Alliance, a group of 5 species that controlled most of the galaxy's trade. "No," Jinwoo said firmly. "Evidence of human contributions to galactic science, culture, and peace." He activated a holo projector. Images filled the air above them. Pictures of human doctors treating alien children, blueprints of ships that humans had designed for the council fleet, data showing how human agriculture had ended famine on 12 worlds. "In the past 50 years," Jinwoo continued, "humans have shared 847 scientific discoveries. We've provided medical aid to 134 colonies. Our artists have enriched galactic culture. And yet," High Judicator Veltar said, "your military grows. Your weapons become more powerful. Your ships spread to new systems." President Lee spoke for the first time. "Because we must defend ourselves. Other species expand their territories. Why can't we?" "Because," Siskar hissed, "you humans are different. You're violent. You're unpredictable. You make the other species nervous." Hannah felt anger rise in her chest. She kept her voice steady. "We defended ourselves when the Kithara raiders attacked our colonies. We shared our food when the Andromedan plague hit. We fight only when we must." "That's the problem," said Ambassador Zoke of the Crystal People. Her voice sounded like wind chimes. "You're too good at fighting. Other species fear you." "Fear?" Hannah repeated. "We've never attacked a peaceful species." "Haven't you?" Veltar activated his own hologram. It showed human warships in formation. "Explain these military exercises near Vex space." "Training exercises," Hannah replied. "The same kind every species conducts." "Not the same," Siskar argued. "Your ships are too fast. Your weapons too precise. You adapt too quickly." Dr. Kim stepped forward again. "Is it our fault that we learn fast? Is it wrong to improve ourselves?" "When that improvement threatens others, yes," said the representative of the Silicon Syndicates. Hannah looked around the chamber. She saw the truth in their alien faces. This trial wasn't about justice. It was about fear. Fear of what humans might become. "You've already decided," she said quietly. "This isn't a trial. It's an execution. High Judicator Veltar's golden eyes revealed nothing. All species have voted except 3. The council calls for the final tally. One by one, species declared their votes. The Zenthari voted for exile. The Vex voted for exile. The Hegemonic Alliance voted as one voice, exile. Only 4 species voted for humanity: the young Benthic Federation, the small Wanderer clans, the machine-like builders, and surprisingly, the ancient Void Speakers. By a vote of 43-4, Veltar announced, "Humanity is hereby expelled from the Galactic Council. You have 10 standard years to remove all human presence from council space." The chamber erupted in noise. Some species cheered, others seemed uncomfortable. The Void Speaker representative, a being of pure energy, flickered sadly. President Lee's hologram stepped forward. "This is a mistake, a terrible mistake. The decision is final," Veltar said. "Human ships, bases, and colonies must leave council space. Any human presence after the deadline will be considered an invasion." Hana felt the weight of 40 billion human lives on her shoulders. Behind her civilized mask, she was already making plans. The smart species would regret this day. "We understand," she said formally. "Humanity will comply with the council's decision." "Good," Siskar hissed. "Perhaps isolation will teach you humility." Hana smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. It wasn't a nice smile. "Perhaps it will teach us other things." Human delegation walked toward the exit. As they reached the doors, President Lee turned back. "To all who voted for our exile," she said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "Remember this day. Remember that you chose fear over justice. And when the galaxy changes, and it will change, remember that you made that choice." The doors closed behind them with a soft hiss. In the chamber, High Judicator Veltar felt a strange chill. The humans. Words had sounded less like a warning and more like a promise. As the council members filed out, few noticed the small recording devices that human ambassadors had been planting for years. Devices that would keep working long after humans were gone. Devices that would watch and learn and remember. Outside the chamber, Hana Park looked at her companions. "Phase 1 complete," she said quietly. Dr. Kim raised an eyebrow. "Phase 1? Did you really think we came here just to beg?" Hana asked. "We've been preparing for this for decades. Now the real work begins." In space above Nova Prime, human ships began their journey home. But some ships turned in different directions, directions that led beyond the Council's maps, into the unknown. The exile had begun. But for humanity, it wasn't an ending. It was just the start of something much bigger. 2 years after the exile, Admiral Sung-Ho Lim stood on the bridge of the flagship Horizon's Dawn. Through the viewscreen, he watched the last human transport ships leave Council space. To outside observers, it looked like a chaotic retreat. Families packed their belongings. Miners abandoned their equipment. Farmers left their fields. But Sung-Ho knew the truth. This was the most organized operation in human history. "Sir," called his first officer, Captain Taewon-Oh. "The last group has crossed the border. All ships accounted for." "Good." Sung-Ho nodded. "Signal the fleet. Time for Phase 2. Dr. Minha Yu sat in her lab aboard the research vessel New Hope. Around her, hundreds of test tubes glowed with green liquid. Each one contained billions of specially modified bacteria. Her assistant, young Dr. Bora Shin, looked worried. "Are you sure this will work, Dr. Yu? Terraforming usually takes centuries." Mina smiled. "Not anymore. These bacteria can change a planet's atmosphere in months. Watch." She poured the green liquid into a sealed chamber containing Martian soil. Within minutes, the red dirt began to turn dark and rich. "Plants could grow in this." "Impossible," Bora whispered. "No," Minha replied. "Just human." Engineer Yoonjin Nam climbed out of the massive construction mech she'd been testing. The machine was the size of a building, with arms that could lift entire city blocks. Her foreman Kyungjin Woo handed her a tablet. The assembly platforms are ahead of schedule. 16 ring habitats completed, 8 more under construction. The council thinks we're building refugee camps, Yunjin laughed. Let them think that. In reality, each refugee camp was a hidden megastructure. Underground facilities connected by quantum tunnels. Orbital platforms that looked like debris, but were actually shipyards. What seemed like desperate humans fleeing were actually engineers planting the seeds of empire. Captain Taewon-Oh's scout ship, the Wanderer, emerged from hyperjump at the edge of an unexplored system. His crew of 25 specialists immediately began their scans. Captain, called Navigation Officer Hyunju Park. I'm reading massive mineral deposits on the third planet. Rare elements the council says don't exist anymore. Evidence of life? Taewon asked. Yes, sir, replied Science Officer Young Ho Choi. Primitive but organized. They're building cities. Taewon smiled. The council had always claimed these outer regions were empty and worthless. They were wrong about the first part. Maybe they were wrong about the second part, too. Send a diplomatic probe, he ordered. Use the peaceful contact protocols. Let's make some new friends. 6 months later, Captain Hana Park received a report that made her laugh out loud. She was now Director of Human Colonial Services, a title that sounded boring but controlled humanity's entire expansion. The Kalari want to trade with us, reported Ambassador Minsu Ryu. He'd just returned from the Outer Rim. They're the ones with the crystal cities. They say the council ignored them. For 300 years, what do they offer? Hana asked. Advanced energy technology. Their crystals can store power like nothing we've ever seen. In exchange, they want our farming techniques and medical knowledge. Hana looked at her star map. Red dots showed human colonies. Blue dots showed their new allies. The pattern was growing fast. Make the deal, she decided, and tell them we have other friends they might like to meet. President Yoon Soo Lee, now in her second term, held a secret meeting with the leaders of the Human Colonial Council. The meeting took place on New Terra, humanity's hidden capital ship. New Terra was a marvel of engineering. 3 kilometers long, it contained entire cities inside its hull. Farms grew food in huge biodomes. Factories built ships and equipment. Millions of humans lived and worked in what looked like an asteroid from the outside. Report on Operation Seedfall, the president requested. General Kyung-min Han stood. All deadfall sites are active. 37 colonies that appeared abandoned now have full underground facilities. The council believes our population dropped to 8 billion. It's actually 47 billion and growing. Starfall Division? The president asked. Admiral Seung-ho spoke next. Our ships have contacted 16 species beyond the rim. 12 have agreed to join our alliance. The others are thinking about it. Intelligence report? Director Kang, who ran the Shadow Bureau, activated a hologram. Our agents in council? Space report business as usual. They've forgotten we exist. Some species already joke about extinct humans at their diplomatic parties. President Lee nodded grimly. Good. Let them laugh. What about the Nexus Cloud? Dr. Jin-Woo Kim, now Secretary of Science, stood. The Nexus Cloud contains more rare elements than the entire council has ever seen. Our mining operations are producing materials that supposedly don't exist. With these resources, our technology advance is accelerating. How fast? The president asked. At current rates, Jin-Woo calculated, we'll exceed council technology levels within 20 years. In 50 years, we'll be centuries ahead. The room went quiet. Everyone understood what this meant. There's something else, Dr. Mina Yu added. Our genetic therapy program is working. New generation humans can survive on any planet in the galaxy. They're stronger, smarter, and live longer. Any side effects? President Lee asked. Yes, they're even more stubborn than regular humans. Everyone laughed. After living as exiles for so long, they'd learned to find humor where they could. Captain Taewon returned from another scouting mission with amazing news. This time he'd found something special. The Christine Collective, he announced to the Colonial Council. Silicon-based life forms. Their technology is built into their bodies. They've been hiding from the council for millennia. Will they join us? Asked Hana Park. They're interested, but they want to meet our leaders first. They've invited us, to their homeworld. This was unprecedented. No carbon-based life form had ever visited the Christine Collective. "I'll go," Admiral Shung-ho volunteered. "No," said President Lee. "I'll go myself." The trip to the Christine homeworld took 3 weeks. President Lee traveled in a special ship designed by engineer Yoonjin Nam. The ship could survive the extreme conditions of crystal space. The Christine homeworld was a planet made entirely of living crystal. The beings themselves looked like walking gemstones, beautiful and alien. The Christine princess, whose light song was translated as Rainbow in Deep Ocean, greeted the humans. "We have watched you, fluid ones," she sang. "Your council cast you out for being dangerous, yet you offer friendship to the small and forgotten. Why?" President Lee thought carefully. "Because we remember what it feels like to be cast out. And because we believe the galaxy is big enough for everyone." The princess's colors shifted, showing pleasure. "Your thoughts taste true. The collective will consider alliance." Back on New Terra, the leadership gathered for their 5-year planning meeting. The exodus was supposed to be shameful. Instead, it had become liberation. "Status report," President Lee called. 212 human colonies beyond the rim, reported Director Park. 43 alien species in our alliance, combined population approaching 100 billion. "Military status?" the president asked. General Han smiled. "The Shadow Fleet is operational. 100 stealth ships capable of slip space travel. Our new weapons make Council technology look like stone spears." "Economic status?" "We're completely self-sufficient," reported the economics minister. "In fact, we're producing a surplus." President Lee stood. "Then it's time for Phase 3. The room tensed. Everyone knew what Phase 3 meant. "Are we ready to let the Council know we're still alive?" she asked. Admiral Sung-ho nodded. "More than ready, Madam President. The question is, should we knock on their door or kick it down?" The president thought of the trial 5 years ago. She remembered the fear in their voices, the arrogance in their eyes. "Let's start with knocking," she said. "But keep our kicking. Boots ready." As if on cue, alerts sounded throughout New Terra. A Council exploration ship had just discovered one of their outer colonies. The ship was sending reports back to Council space. Director Kang checked his monitors. "The ship is sending everything they see. The Council will know we're here within hours." President Lee sat back in her chair. After 5 years of hiding, humanity was about to be discovered. "So much for knocking," she said calmly. General Han, "Prepare the fleets. Director Kang, activate all agents. It seems Phase 3 is starting whether we're ready or not." Outside New Terra, hidden ships began powering up their engines. Across human space, colonies prepared for the galaxy to learn a terrible truth. Humanity hadn't just survived their exile. They had thrived. And they were coming home. Commander Zethka of the Council survey ship Morning Star couldn't believe what his sensors were showing. The human colony on Kepler 7 looked bigger than the files said it should be. "Run the scan again," he ordered his science officer. "Sir, the readings are correct. There's a city down there with 2 million inhabitants. The records say this colony was abandoned 3 years ago." Commander Zethka felt worried. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe other humans had settled here. Then he saw the weapons. "Battle stations," he yelled. "Send a message to Council Command. Tell them the humans." The ship's systems went dead. Emergency lights flickered on. Commander Zethka stared as his screens showed an impossible sight. 50 human ships surrounded the Morning Star. They hadn't been there a second ago. A voice came through the comm system. It spoke perfect Council standard. "Commander Zethka, this is Captain Subin Cho of the Human Commonwealth. Please prepare to be boarded. Resistance is pointless." Before Commander Zethka could respond, strange humans appeared on his bridge. They moved through walls like ghosts, then became solid. Their armor was black and seemed to absorb light. "How did you?" Commander Zethka started. "Quantum phase technology," Captain Cho explained pleasantly. "We'll need you to come with us. There are people who want to talk to you." Director Byung-Soo Kang watched the interrogation through one-way glass. Commander Zethka sat in a comfortable chair, drinking human tea. He wasn't a prisoner, exactly. More like a very surprised guest. "Tell me about your technology," the commander asked for the 10th time. "Those ships appeared from nowhere." Dr. Jamin Lee, the head of Human Technology Development, smiled. "We call it slipspace folding. We bend reality instead of moving through it, much faster than your hyperdrives." "Impossible," Commander Zethka said. "The physics don't work." "They do if you understand quantum mechanics differently," Dr. Lee explained. "Your species think in 3 dimensions. We think in 12. Director Kang entered the room. He was calm and friendly, which made him more frightening than any angry. "General." "Commander," he said, settling into a chair. "We have a problem. Your ship found us too early. We weren't ready for this conversation." "Conversation?" Commander Zethka repeated. "About the new galaxy," Director Kang said simply. "The one where humans and their allies control half the known space." The commander laughed nervously. "Impossible. Humans were exiled. Your primitives hiding in the outer rim." Director Kang activated a hologram. It showed a map of the galaxy. Red areas marked council space. Blue areas marked human territory. There was a lot of blue. "We've been busy," Director Kang said. Across the galaxy, more council ships were making discoveries. Each one found the same thing. Humans had not just survived. They had grown. On the Vex homeworld, Ambassador Siskar received reports that made his blood run cold. "How many ships?" he asked his aide. "At least 10,000, sir. All using technology we don't recognize. They're just watching us." "Watching?" Seskar's tongue flicked out nervously. "Yes, sir. Our fleets tried to approach. The human ships just disappeared, then reappeared somewhere else. High Judicator Veltar called an emergency session of the Galactic Council." The chamber buzzed, with nervous voices. Many seats were empty. Several species were too busy defending their borders to attend. "The situation is clear," Veltar announced. "The humans have violated their exile. They've entered council space with military forces." "They're not attacking," pointed out the Christine representative. "They're just there." "That's what makes them dangerous," hissed Ambassador Siskar. "They're watching, learning, planning." A new voice spoke. It came from a human hologram that appeared in the center of the chamber. The figure was a woman, in a simple white uniform. "Greetings, Galactic Council," she said. Her voice was calm and clear. "I am Emissary Suyan Park, Speaker for the Human Commonwealth." The chamber erupted in shouts, alarm sounded, guards moved forward. "You have no authority here," Veltar roared. "Humans are banned from council space." "We're banned," Emissary Park corrected. "That was 10 years ago. Things have changed." She gestured, and her hologram became solid. She now stood in the chamber as if she had always been there. "Advanced matter transmission," she explained to their shocked faces. "One of several technologies we've developed since our exile." Essus's car rose from his seat. I dare to speak the truth," Emissary Park interrupted. "For 10 years you've ignored us. You thought exile meant death. You were wrong." The hologram expanded, showing images of human cities. Massive orbital habitats, ships beyond counting, worlds transformed from wasteland to paradise. The human. "Commonwealth spans 300 systems," Emissary Park announced. "Our population exceeds 100 billion. We have alliances with 47 species you've never contacted." "Lies," shouted a Zenthari representative. "Facts," Emissary Park replied. "Would you like proof?" She snapped her fingers. The air shimmered and the chamber's walls became transparent. Beyond them, ships appeared. Hundreds of human vessels surrounded Nova Prime. The council members scrambled for their defense controls. Nothing worked. Their weapons were offline. Their shields were down. "You're not in danger," Emissary Park assured them. "This is a demonstration. Our ships could destroy your planet, but we choose not to." Veltar's 4 arms shook with rage. "What do you want?" "Justice," Emissary Park said simply. "You cast us out for being dangerous. So we became strong. You ignored the Outer Rim species, so we befriended them. You limited your thinking, so we expanded ours. She walked to the center of the chamber. No one tried to stop her. We've come to offer you a choice, she said. Join the new Galactic Order or be left behind by it. General Kyungmin Han stood in the command center of New Terra. Around him, screens showed human fleets throughout the galaxy. The plan was working perfectly. Strike Group Alpha is in position, reported an officer. Strike Group Beta ready, called another. Hunter packs deployed, said a third. General Han nodded. Phase 3 was more than revealing human strength. It was demonstrating absolute control. Sir, an aide approached. President Wan sends her regards. She wants to know if you need more ships. General Han looked at the tactical display. Human forces outnumbered the entire Council fleet by 5-1, and these were just the ships the Council could see. Tell the President we have enough, he said. Any more, and it wouldn't be fair. Dr. Jamin Lee stood in his laboratory, watching. Alien scientists study his inventions. He'd been ordered to reveal some human technology, just enough to make a point. The lead Xanthari scientist, Dr. Kolmath, stared at a simple device the size of his fist. This produces enough energy to power a city? He asked. For 100 years, Dr. Lee confirmed. We have fusion technology. Your people haven't imagined. Dr. Kolmath picked up another device. It looked like a flower made of metal. And this? Gravity control, Dr. Lee said casually. We can make any object weightless, or increase its gravity 1,000 times. The alien scientist set it down carefully. How? We learned to ask different questions, Dr. Lee explained. Your scientists ask how can we use energy. We ask, what is energy? On the frontier world of harmony, humans and aliens worked together on a massive construction project. The Kalari, with their crystal technology, worked alongside human engineers. The small benthic people operated equipment underwater. Engineer Yunjin Nam supervised the construction of something impossible, a ring habitat around an entire star. It was just one of 12 being built in human space. How long until completion? Asked her Kalari partner, Velkris. 6 months, Yunjin replied. If we work at normal speed. 3 months if we hurry. Velkris made a sound like wind chimes. Among her people, this meant amusement. The Council would need centuries for such a project, she said. The Council thinks small, Yunjin replied. We think big. Back in the Council chamber, emissary Suyan Park made her final offer. The human commonwealth seeks partnership, not conquest, she said. We're inviting the Council species to join a new federation, equal partners in a larger galaxy. And if we refuse? Veltar asked. Emissary Park's expression didn't change. Then you continue as you are, ruling a small part of space while the real galaxy moves beyond you. Your choice. She began to fade, her matter transmission ending. Think carefully, she said. The humans you exiled were dangerous. The humans you're dealing with now are much more than that. She disappeared, leaving the Council members alone with their fears. Outside Nova Prime, the human ships began to leave, not retreating, moving on. They had other destinations, other species to contact, other worlds to explore. The message was clear. Humanity had outgrown the need for Council approval. They were moving forward with or without the Council. High Judicator Veltar sat in his private chamber, staring at reports from across the galaxy. Human colonies where none should exist. Technologies beyond Council understanding. Alliances that changed the balance of power. His aide entered quietly. Sir, the vote is scheduled for tomorrow. What should we tell the member species? Veltar closed his golden eyes. The humans had been exiled for being dangerous. Now they were more than dangerous, they were necessary. Tell them, he said quietly, that the galaxy has changed, and so must we. In space beyond Nova Prime, President Heijin Wan received reports from across human space. The revelation was complete. The Council now knew the truth. Fleet Admiral Yunjin Ri stood on the bridge of the Commonwealth flagship Unity. Behind her, 2,000 human ships waited in formation. They weren't hiding anymore. The entire galaxy could see them. "All fleets report ready, Admiral," said her tactical officer. "Good," Admiral Ri replied. She looked at the view screen showing Council space. "Open a channel to all human forces." Her voice reached ships across 10 sectors. "This is Admiral Ri. Today we go home. Remember, we're not conquerors. We're returning citizens. Act accordingly." On Nova Prime, emergency sessions of the Galactic Council had been running for 3 days. The chamber buzzed with fear and confusion. "We must fight," roared General Krextar of the Zinthari military. "These humans mock our authority." "With what?" Ambassador Siskar hissed in reply. "They have 10 ships for every one of ours. Their weapons make ours look like toys." High Judicator Veltar raised, his forearms for silence. "We need information. Has anyone had contact with the human named Park?" An aide rushed into the chamber. "Sir, Admiral Ri is requesting permission to enter Council space. She says she comes in peace." The chamber fell, silent. Everyone knew that name. Ri had been humanity's greatest military leader during the Kithara Wars. "Where is she?" Veltar asked. "At our border, sir, with a lot of ships." Ambassador Minju Song sat in her ship's diplomatic quarters. She had been Earth's ambassador before the exile. Now she was returning with a very different mission. Aide Secretary Dongyan Lim brought her tea. "Admiral Ri's fleet is in position. The Warsage is ready to deploy." Warsage Jihunche was something new in human culture. Part warrior, part philosopher. He specialized in what humans called aggressive diplomacy. "Tell the Warsage to wait," Minju said calmly. "We'll give them one chance to do this the easy way." President Heijin Wan stood in the command center on New Terra. Around her, the greatest minds in human space tracked every movement in the galaxy. "Status report," she ordered. "Border fleets in position," reported General Kyung-Min Han. "Strike. Forces deployed. Hunter-killer groups ready." "What about our allies?" the president asked. Director Byung-Soo Kang stepped forward. "The Kalari have pledged their crystal ships. The Benthic people are moving their deep space forces. The Christine Collective, they're doing something special." "Special?" They won't say what. But energy readings suggest something big. On board the Unity, Admiral Ri received a transmission from Nova Prime. "Admiral," came High Judicator Veltar's voice. "You may approach with one ship. You'll be escorted to a neutral station." Admiral Ri smiled. "I appreciate the offer, but I think there's been a misunderstanding." She gestured, and her communications officer sent a signal. Around Nova Prime, human ships materialized, not dozens, thousands. "I'm not here to ask permission," Admiral Ri continued calmly. "I'm here to inform you of our return. We'll be peaceful, but we will not be stopped." The Battle of Three Suns began not with violence, but with a demonstration. When Council forces tried to intercept human ships, something impossible happened. The human vessels seemed to move through time itself. They would disappear from one moment and appear in another, having already completed their maneuvers. Warsage Jihunche spoke from his ship, the Temporal Blade. "Council forces, this is Warsage. Che, you're experiencing temporal displacement weaponry. We can move you backwards or forwards in time relative to us. You cannot fight what happens before you're able to react." The Council fleet found themselves helpless. Every move they made, the humans had already countered. It wasn't a battle. It was a lesson. Admiral Ri's voice echoed across both fleets. "We don't want to hurt you. We want to help you understand. The galaxy has moved beyond your small wars." Vex Prime, Ambassador Seskar watched his homeworld's defenses fail. Human ships passed through their shields like they weren't there. A human appeared in his office. She walked through the wall and solidified. "Ambassador," said Captain Nayung Kang, "I represent the Liberation Force. You are not in danger." "Liberation?" Scar hissed. "Yes. Liberation from fear, from limited thinking, from the belief that strength means domination. Captain Kang gestured out the window. Humans and aliens were working together in the streets below. The Vex slaves were being freed, but gently. No violence, no revenge. How? Sizikar whispered. Because, Captain Kang said simply, we remember what it feels like to be cast out. The core worlds fell without a shot being fired. One moment, Council forces were patrolling. The next, human ships were simply there, offering help instead of conquest. President Wan watched these reports with satisfaction. This had been the hardest part to plan. How do you conquer without conquering? How do you win without defeating? Sir, Admiral Ree reported via hypercom, the Council has requested immediate negotiations. Terms, the President asked. Full surrender. Complete restructuring of galactic government. They're asking for mercy. President Wan considered. Tell them this. We don't want surrender. We want partnership. Real partnership. Ambassador Minju Song walked into the Galactic Council chambers. She hadn't been here since the exile. The seats were fuller than before. Many new species had been invited. Species the Council had previously ignored. High Judicator Veltar looked older. His golden eyes were tired. Ambassador Song, he said formally. The Council is prepared to discuss terms. Minju took her seat. The same seat humans had been forced to leave 10 years ago. No terms, she said simply. New rules. The negotiations lasted 3 days. Not because they were difficult, but because the changes were so vast. The Galactic Council was dissolved. In its place, the Galactic Federation. Every species had an equal voice. Every world had rights. Military force could only be used for defense. Most importantly, exploration and growth were encouraged, not limited. You're giving up your advantage, noted Veltar during a break. You could rule us all. Rule? Minju smiled. We learned something during our exile. Power isn't about ruling others. It's about empowering everyone to reach their potential. Dr. Jamin Lee presented humanity's gift to the new Federation. Technology that would let every species grow. Environmental healing. Faster than light communication. Medical advances that would double lifespans. Why? Asked Dr. Kolmath, the Zenthari scientist. After what we did to you? Because, Dr. Lee explained, that's what makes us human. You thought we were dangerous because we were violent. You were wrong. We're dangerous because we never give up, and we never give up on others. 6 months later, Admiral Ree stood in Earth's orbit. Home. The blue planet looked the same, but everything else had changed. Her granddaughter, Captain Suman Ree, pointed to Earth. Is that really home, Admiral? Yunjin smiled. Home is where humans are. We've learned that lesson well. Around them, ships from dozens of species shared Earth's orbital space. The planet below teemed with life from across the galaxy. But yes, Admiral Ree added, that's home too. President Wan held the first session of the Galactic Federation's ruling council. The chamber was larger than the old councils. Room for growth, room for new members. She looked around at faces that had once been enemies. Now they were partners in something bigger. The Federation's first act, she announced, will be the Great Expansion. Every species will receive resources to explore, new space, to find their own frontiers. High Judicator Veltar, now just Veltar the Counselor, spoke up. And if we find new threats? Then we face them together, President Wan replied. As the humans learned during our exile, being cast out doesn't make you weak. It makes you learn to survive anywhere. War Sage Ji-hoon Che established the new Federation Academy. It would train diplomats and explorers from every species. His first lesson was simple. Power isn't about being stronger than others. It's about helping others become stronger too. A student raised a tentacle. What if they use that strength against you? Ji-hoon smiled. Then you've proven their worth, saving. 1 year after the return, humanity held a celebration, not of conquest but of homecoming. Presidents and ambassadors from across the galaxy came to Earth. The party lasted a week. In the middle of the festivities, an old friend arrived. Commander Zethka, the alien who had first discovered the truth about human survival. He found President Wan at the observation deck looking out at the stars. "I came to apologize," he said quietly. "For what?" President Wan asked. "For the trial? For the exile? For treating you like criminals?" President Wan smiled. "You did us a favor." "How?" "You forced us to discover what we really were. Not just humans from Earth, but humans of the galaxy." She gestured to the stars. "We're stronger now, all of us, because someone had to learn how to survive anywhere." 5 years later, the first joint expedition launched. Humans, Zenthari, Kalari, Christine, and dozens of other species working together, heading beyond the galaxy itself, to Andromeda, to new challenges. Admiral Rhee, now retired but still advising, spoke to her young officers before they left. "Remember," she said, "the species that exiled us thought they knew what humans were. They were wrong. We weren't dangerous because we could fight. We were dangerous because we could adapt, and now we've taught the galaxy to adapt with us." "What's next?" asked a young human lieutenant. Admiral Rhee smiled and pointed to the stars. "Beyond the galaxy. Everything," she said. "Absolutely everything.